If you've been following my channel for any length of time, you guys know how much I love silver and Bitcoin. I love platinum too. I'm a hard money advocate. I'm a silver ambassador and a Bitcoin evangelist. You know what I mean? And I fully believe that our freedom is on the line with these CBDCs coming up. And I go so hard with you guys, my precious metal stackers, because most of you guys are precious metal stackers, about Bitcoin, because I want you guys to understand it. A lot of you guys still reject it. A lot of you still are on zero and won't get off of zero, and you just refuse to buy it. And I understand, you know what I mean? But on this channel, I'm going to be talking a lot about, Bitcoin and how I honestly, truly believe it can save not only America, but this world financially. It really can, you know what I mean? It's an absolute blessing. But this video I'm going to react. I'm going to actually do a couple of things in this video, but you're going to find out why I go so hard in recruiting to get people to not only buy silver, you guys know why, but why we need to buy Bitcoin. It's not just about price go up and stuff like that, because I got a lot of people mad at me that stack Bitcoin, telling me, why are you telling everybody? And, I just want it to be adopted. I want every single person that I know, or every single person in the world to get it, to be honest. So we're going to react to Matthew Kratter from formerly known as Trader University. This is a video from a few months ago before he became Bitcoin University. He's going to talk about why we need 10 million Bitcoin stackers in the United States of America. Take a look.
This is Matthew Kratter from Trader University, and today I want to talk about flipping the US for Bitcoin, as well as the dangers that lie ahead if we don't get this right. And for the purposes of this video, I'll be drawing on two really good recent essays by Corey Clipston, who's the CEO over at Swan Bitcoin. First one is called 10 Million Bitcoiners. And the basic idea is this: flipping the US for Bitcoin. It's not only important because it's where I live and where a lot of my viewers live, but it's also very important because the US still stands at the center of the global financial system, for better or for worse, mostly for worse. But the US is incredibly important when it comes to financial regulation. It has its tentacles everywhere, and the US dollar is obviously still the global reserve currency, though it is losing some market share at the edges. So the basic theory, the basic idea is this: to make the US a Bitcoin country, you don't need to convert 100% of the people. You just need enough people to tip the scale slightly. You need what Nassim Taleb calls an intransigent minority. And the examples that Taleb gives are food with a kosher designation in the US, as well as halal meat in the UK. And the idea is this: that the majority of the population doesn't care about these things, but enough people do care that it's just easier, for example, for soup manufacturers to stick that U inside of a circle symbol on a can of soup, or order halal meat for their restaurant in the UK. Both of these ideas are discussed in this chapter from Skin in the Game, which is one of Taleb's books that I will be linking to below. The intransigent minority that Taleb is talking about is something like 3 to 4% of the population. This is the idea. And that's about 10 million people in the US, maybe a little bit more. We need 10 million people, 10 million Bitcoiners, people who have a decent percentage of their net worth in Bitcoin, who hold their own private keys, who understand the fundamentals of Bitcoin and why it is so different from crypto. And also, these are Bitcoiners who ideally will be running their own nodes as well. These will obviously probably also be single issue voters who will rally to support good Bitcoin politicians and also vote out any politician who is really rabidly anti-Bitcoin. Now, US politics, as everyone knows, is basically split 50-50 on so many issues, so that having 3 to 4% of swing voters who are really only concerned about Bitcoin is really a huge swing vote.
Yeah, there are many politicians right now, mostly on the right. There's some on the left too that are Bitcoiners, that are major Bitcoiners, you know what I mean? And the Bitcoin conference in Miami, the big Super Bowl of Bitcoin conferences, is going to be in Miami this weekend from the May 18th to May 20th. And it's crazy because Robert F. Kennedy's going to be there, Tulsi Gabbard's going to be there, and then this guy right here, I don't want to mess his name up, that guy right there is going to be there too. 3, former or current presidential candidates. So yeah, it's really important to get the word out about Bitcoin. And there's a lot of people that are seeing it. Like I said, Ted Cruz, from Texas, Senator of Texas.
China hates Bitcoin for the same reason Elizabeth Warren hates Bitcoin, because they both want to control it. I'm a Bitcoin investor personally. I like Bitcoin for the same reason that the Chinese Communist government doesn't like Bitcoin.
Cynthia Loomis.
I encourage people to buy and hold. I encourage them to say Bitcoin for their retirement, for their future. And that's because as the Congress spends trillions and trillions of dollars and is flooding our economy and the world economy with US dollars, there's no way that we cannot debase the value of the US dollars.
And many, many others. So this is why I make these videos, so more and more people can know what the real digital money is, and that's Bitcoin.
Now, the next concept that Corey brings up in a subsequent essay is called the race to avoid the war. And that's what we're going to talk about now. But before we do, I just ask you to subscribe to this channel if you're enjoying this video so far, if you enjoy my teaching style, and if you support the mission of this channel, which is Bitcoin education.
Link to his video in the description box, link to his channel and stuff like that. Make sure you go over there and subscribe to Bitcoin University. If you have any questions about Bitcoin, just type in the search bar anything you want about Bitcoin. He's the #1 source on YouTube, in my opinion.
So this is Corey's most recent essay, The Race to Avoid the War. And he starts off by saying, we Bitcoiners are in a race, perhaps the most important race we will ever run. We are racing against time to drive the adoption of Bitcoin as fast as we can. We are racing toward a future in which the U.S. government never coordinates a concerted attack against Bitcoin and Bitcoiners. This is a race to avoid a war.
But funny, I ran across this video here that I'm getting ready to show you. This is a short from Corey, the guy that Matthew's talking about. And he's actually talking about getting more people and trying to promote Bitcoin. Take a look.
All right, just came out of a chat with the marketing team over here at Swan and wanted to give you guys a little window into one of the initiatives that we are thinking of pursuing more broadly, which is sponsoring or being involved with or getting Bitcoin more involved with events around the country that are not just Bitcoin events. So this is trying to help Bitcoin cross over into mainstream culture. And I think one of the best ways to do this is these outdoor street fairs, like summer type things. I'm thinking of, every weekend in Chicago, there's another neighborhood that has a festival all day Saturday, all day Sunday. It's like 10, 11 weeks in a row every summer in Chicago. And there's always beverages, and beverages always end up in pictures. And if those beverages have Bitcoin on them on the cup, then we end up on social media and you start to just become part of the culture. And you're always going to be associated with something positive. So it's something that we're looking at. We're going to try a home game first on May 21st at the annual, I think it's the second annual SoCal Turkish Festival, which obviously is kind of a home game for me with my wife being from Turkey. So kind of know the organizers and everything. So all the teacups, they love their Turkish tea, obviously, are going to have either Swan or Bitcoin or both. I think we have 3 versions of the cups that are going to be sort of circulating throughout the festival when everybody's drinking tea. So we'll see how that goes. I think it'll be really fun. And if you have an event that you're either involved in, some kind of festival this summer, or if you know of one that you think where this type of concept could work, we want to hear about it. So put it in the comments, shoot me a DM, get in touch with somebody from Swan, like Brecky, Brady, Brandon, any of the 3 birds will do, and let's see if we can start a movement here this summer.
Now, those dates are after the Bitcoin conference. So, yeah, that again, guys, this is why I make these videos, to put the word out, because I know what I know. You know what I mean? And I'm trying to teach you what I know so you can know it too.
So the idea is this: if we fail to mint 10 million serious Bitcoiners in the U.S. over the next 5 to 10 years, there's a very good chance that we're going to enter at least a century of darkness, maybe longer, because of the way that digital prisons work. This is the darkness that your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren will have to experience if we don't get this right. And this is why Bitcoin is so important. What we have coming down the pike are Fed-controlled central bank digital currencies, CBDCs. We have increasing digital surveillance and control. We have the risk of putting high-profile Bitcoiners in jail on bogus charges. This is what always happens. They find some minor violation and then use this to smear not just a particular Bitcoiner, but Bitcoin as a whole. What we're headed for in the U.S., it appears to me at least, and what we really saw a glimpse of in the last 2 years, and we saw it in Australia and Canada and the UK as well, is basically a soft version of Chinese totalitarianism and social credit scores, where the basic Bill of Rights was suspended and has been suspended. Bitcoin will still win as the best, hardest form of money around. But if we go toward this dark future, none of us will live to see this adoption if we lose the adoption race and we have to fight the war against our government instead.
If we get global adoption of Bitcoin and we get on a Bitcoin standard, not only will we not do any wars around the world, but we won't have to war and fight against our government, because the CBDCs are coming, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I know my precious metal people are thinking, well, why can't we just use gold? And so we've tried that already. The difference between Bitcoin and precious metals, ladies and gentlemen, is precious metals can be manipulated because it's a paper market. They can times it however many they want, 300 every 1 ounce or whatever. And if we back currency or notes or whatever it is to gold or silver, guess what happens? That means they hold our gold and silver. Now, we can have some, of course, but we can't transact with the gold and silver, right? We only use the gold and silver as what? A store of value. We don't use gold and silver as a media of exchange. I've never have. I'm not saying you can't do it, a little bit here and there. But the thing is, the gold has to be held with a custodian. You know what I mean? And when they hold it as a custodian, you can't trust people. Bitcoin is not ran by people. Bitcoin is a network. It can't be debased. That's the difference, guys. This is why I go so hard on the Bitcoin adoption and talking about Bitcoin. Again, you guys know I love silver. I got all the 50 states right here. And I got some presidents over here and everything, and I love silver. But Bitcoin is the new digital money. It's the train to the horse of gold and silver. You know what I mean? That's how we're going to transact with CBDCs, cash, cards, or Bitcoin in the future.
Now, please notice the difference between what we're doing when we're talking about calling for more Bitcoiners and a pump and dump scheme or an MLM scheme. This always comes up in the YouTube comments. We're not telling people about Bitcoin so that we can dump on them. This is not like your typical altcoin, which is backed by VCs and they need liquidity. So, for example, Solana, they get everyone very excited and then they dump on them. This is completely different. In no small part because Bitcoin is a digital commodity without an issuer. So that makes the incentives work much better.
This is why I make these videos, to educate you guys on the difference between Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. I know technically Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency, but Bitcoin is not owned by any CEO, CFO, or whatever, like he said with Solana, Ethereum, XRP, Dogecoin, you name any other one besides Bitcoin, and they don't do the pump and dumps because there's nobody to pump and dump. It's a network. It's ran by nodes and the system and the rules. There's no person in charge. It's permissionless money. Unconfiscatable. This is what I love about it.
So we're not telling people about Bitcoin so that we can dump on them. We're telling people about a product that is a superior technology and a superior form of money. This is a form of money that can protect anyone from government censorship and can be used on a peer-to-peer basis. And it's also a form of money that can protect everyone from central bank money debasement and inflation. So it's very similar to, for example, buying an iPhone and telling everyone you know about it. I bought an iPhone in 2008. I couldn't stop talking about it. I bought the stock. Was I pumping iPhones? No, I was not pumping it. I just happened to really like the iPhone. I thought it really improved my life and that it could improve a lot of other people's lives. And this is, I think, the proper analogy for Bitcoin. You're just spreading the word about something that can massively improve people's lives. And as I've said many times, I'm not interested in ever selling my Bitcoin. It's really for 10 generations down the road. Now, Bitcoin is like the iPhone, but even more important because central bank digital currency, CBDCs, are coming. And Bitcoin is really the only antidote. It's the only mainstream, well-known brand that can save us from CBDCs.
I'm telling people to save humanity, save us from slavery of the CBDCs, and wake people up to the tyranny. You know what I mean? And I fully agree with them. I'm never going to sell my Bitcoin either. I'm going to transact a little bit in it, a small percentage, but I'm buying early, and you guys are going to buy early. You know what I mean? And you're not going to need that much Bitcoin. If you know, there's only 21 million in the whole world. Really, there's only be 19 million in our lifetime. 21 million won't get to that until the year 2140. And then you can transact a little bit, and then the rest you can pass it on to your family. I mean, what's better than that?
We saw just last week that the New York Fed has been launching a pilot CBDC-like program with some of the big banks. This is happening in India, where they're going to roll out a retail CBDC on December 1st. They're going to try it in 4 different cities with 4 different banks, and then they're going to extend it later to 9 cities. So this is not a conspiracy theory anymore. Central bank digital currencies are real, and they will be rolled out over this decade. Here's an example of even France and Luxembourg testing a CBDC for a euro bond issue. We have the Bank of Japan getting in on it, and I'll link to all this in the description notes below. The bank's approach, the Bank of Japan's approach, which is the Central Bank of Japan, their approach to CBDCs. And then, of course, China, as you would expect, is the furthest down the road when it comes to CBDCs and using them to control their population. This is not something we want to be able to take root in the U.S. And this is why Bitcoin is so important.
And as many of you guys know, in July, the Fed Now is coming out. You know what I mean? That's the start of the CBDCs. It's getting scary out here, guys.
So you need to be actively educating your friends and family about Bitcoin, not in an annoying, tone-deaf sort of way like recent converts often have, but do it in this way. Whenever there's an opening, a question, a news story, something that lends itself to a Bitcoin discussion, especially if someone asks you about Bitcoin, that usually is the best time because they're very open. No one wants to have their ear talked off about Bitcoin if they're just not interested. But I think the coming decade and what we're going to see in economics and politics will definitely make a lot of people a lot more interested in Bitcoin, and not just about the price pumping, but about using it to preserve people's freedom and liberty and their free speech. So when there's an opening like this, a news story, you can bring up the topic of Bitcoin and how it's the solution to the problem at hand, which is mostly the biggest problem at hand are the coming central bank digital currencies. And we have to get this right. Otherwise, we will lose the adoption race and we'll have to fight the war where we're subjugated under CBDC and we have to somehow fight our way out.
And to me, this is a perfect time right now because all these banks are closing. This stuff is happening in real time. All you got to do is point to the fact of look what happened in 2008 when the banks closed and this, that, and the third. Now look what's happening now. You got Brandon being the president, all this stuff going on around the country, all this transformers and all this other crap. And then you got banks closing on top of it. You know what I mean? It's the perfect time to talk to people about it.
And as Corey does point out in both essays, and I agree with him, Bitcoin is still going to win, but I would like to see it win in my lifetime. I don't want to have to wait for my grandchildren to see it win in a couple hundred years from now. So when you're telling people about Bitcoin, you also need to know enough about Bitcoin to answer the basic hard questions that they might have. And you can use my list of YouTube videos as a good resource. I'll put a link in the description notes below. This is just the videos tab. And you can use the search right here to look up any keyword like quantum, Bitcoin mining. What does it mean? Is Bitcoin a bubble? Is Bitcoin a Ponzi? Is Bitcoin a pyramid? Is Bitcoin bad for the environment? Does Bitcoin use too much energy? All these typical questions that come up. You'll find resources on my website and on my YouTube channel that you can share with people.
Yeah, guys, us hardcore Bitcoiners are really, really serious about this adoption. You know what I mean? This is why we talk about it so much. I'm going to show you a video from a couple of months ago. Jack Mallers, the CEO of Strike, he was on, I think it was CNBC or something like that. He was getting interviewed. It's a couple of months ago. I meant to do a video about this early, but I think this was proper. He's also trying to be a Bitcoin evangelist and explain to people what's going on. I think this is right after the banks closed up. So let's take a look at what Jack has to say. This is a funny interview. Oh, and real quick, this is the lamestream media, okay? Keep that in mind. They don't want you to know about Bitcoin, gold, or silver, or nothing like that. So their job, when they have an expert like this on their show, they have to make them kind of like, not look stupid, but they have to argue against them because they don't want the masses to know about Bitcoin. So keep that in mind when you listen to this interview.
I was going to say, have we seen your hair before, Jack, or has the hoodie typically been up? I'm waiting, for the business suit for me to know that the crisis is over so I can see we're not there yet.
Kelly, I got luscious locks, but I'll toss the hood on for you. How are we? The Fed has blown up our financial system. A hell of a Monday, huh?
So do you think, okay, let me ask it to you this way, or put it to you this way. A banking crisis is deflationary. And so when I see Balaji and others saying Bitcoin's going to go to $1 million, it may go up, but that may be because of the Fed's response here. The 2010s were not hyperinflationary. There's no obvious reason why now would be hyperinflationary either.
Yeah, so Kelly, it's actually not that complicated, and I'm excited to try and convey that to America. There's a market term that's used here in Chicago a lot, is demand finds supply. What do I mean by that? If Ken Griffin is going to want to buy the most expensive condo in America, someone will build it for him. Someone will put a 201st floor in Miami's tallest building. If silver's going to 1000x, I will walk into my kitchen right now. I will melt all my silverware and I will sell it at market. If gold is going to rally, Elon Musk will find more on Mars. Bitcoin this is a super important point. Bitcoin is the only monetary instrument in the history of our species that is fixed. It does not matter how much more demand comes into the asset class, Kelly, no one will ever be able to make more of it. There are two things I can guarantee you in my life. One, that I'll die, and the other, that there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin. And those are what's the two things that I can only value as my life and my Bitcoin. So it is the only fixed supply asset, Kelly. It's not that complicated. It's going to go up because everything else can be issued more.
All right, gold and silver stackers, don't get mad about that. Those are just facts, right? When you're talking about silver and gold, it is finite in comparison to fiat currency, right? Because it's just so hard to mine and everything else. But he's absolutely right. If the market demands more silver, we can get it. We're not going to run out of silver, ladies and gentlemen, okay? We don't run out of bullion, silver, or gold. We don't run out of industrial gold or silver or platinum. If we need more, we will find it either somewhere, some crevice on the planet, somewhere in the ocean, or somewhere in the asteroid belt or Mars or something like that. We will find it if we really, really need it. Like he said, the key thing is with Bitcoin, you can't make any more of it, period. Now listen to this idiot ask him the question about why you can't make any more Bitcoin.
Does that make sense?
You've got to explain to me one thing. Why is the supply fixed? And is that because someone says it's fixed who could change their mind?
No, it's a great point and question, Tyler. It's because it's written in the software and the software is distributed. There is no one person to ask. There is no one person to trust. The whole decentralization, is it decentralized so that you could put pictures and NFTs on the blockchain? Is it decentralized so that you could fix gaming? No, it's decentralized so that the defendants of the monetary policy are distributed, is so that it's a network of computers that actually defend the policy and the instrumentation of the monetary asset. That is not the case for Ethereum. That is not the case for any other altcoin. That is not the case for the US dollar. That is not the case for Miami real estate. That is not the case for precious metals. It is the only monetary instrument that has its monetary policy distributed and defended in a sound way.
Forgive me for being dense,
so
but if you say that it's because this is the way the software is written and it is immutable, it is unchangeable. Why couldn't the software be rewritten, or why couldn't the authors of the software or the guardians of the software write a new software that creates Bitcoin 2.0 with another fixed supply of Bitcoin?
Yeah. So, Tyler, I run Bitcoin software, and someone tried to do this. I want you to Google Bitcoin Cash after this interview is over. Someone said, I want to change the rules of Bitcoin. I may want to create more of a supply. I may want to make it faster. I may want to make it do a backflip. I may make it want to store pictures of monkeys drooling on themselves on the blockchain. And they created it, and they created new rules, and they called it Bitcoin Cash. It's a different asset. It's a different instrument. And when someone tries to pay me in it, my software rules that I run in my home in a room over there says, nope, that's invalid. That thing is a piece of poop, and I don't accept it because it is invalidating the rules of the system that were set out by Satoshi Nakamoto over a decade ago. So you can create whatever you want. You want to create FedNow coin, flip a Dookie coin. I don't care. There's 21 million of the things that I run and that I protect and that I save in. And those rules were started a long time ago. And that's what the network runs. So if you change the rules, you're creating a different monetary asset and a different instrument. It doesn't matter.
Preach, Jack. I love that kid, man. He's only 29 years old. He is going to be a superstar, man. They're going to make a statue of that kid. I swear to God. Everything he said was right. People ask me these kind of questions all the time. This is why I direct them to videos like this. People don't understand what Bitcoin is because it's brand new. It's only 14 and about a half years old. And I think these people know about it, but they got to try to make them look stupid. I guarantee that they may not even bring them on the show again. But watch this lady ask a really stupid question. She tries to change the direction because you can't talk about Bitcoin anymore. So switch it over and watch how he destroys her.
Jack, did you guys have any effect from SVB's collapse? I know, like you said, you're in Chicago. I don't know if you had any exposure there as sort of a startup, or obviously I would imagine maybe some other, colleagues, clients, you name it. What do you make of all this?
Well, it doesn't matter, right, Kelly? Because the U.S. government, you either got to default on it or deflate it. And so they're backstopping everything. The spigots are wide open. Money printer is going burr. So it doesn't matter where your monies are held, is that the government's going to make you whole on it no matter what. So who cares? The only thing that's clear to us and clear to our customers is you cannot hold and save in dollars anymore. I think that there's going to be a new era of the U.S. dollar where inflation will enter a normalized 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10%. The days of 2% inflation are over.
What if you're wrong, Jack? Because the market, the market is telling us we've gone from having, expected 3.5% inflation last year to just over 2% now for the next 5 years. Again, it's it doesn't see inflation accelerating and picking up from here. Look at the swap lines we just instituted over the weekend. It reiterates the dollar's dominance in the global financial system. And if anything, we're going to be averaging inflation for the next decade that probably looks a lot more like the 2010s we just came from. It was not inflation. And Bitcoin still did very well, by the way. It was not an inflationary period.
Yeah, but Kelly, these swap lines and treating these assets at par that these banks are holding is a load of crap. It's a politically correct way. The swap lines over the weekend were a politically correct way going into an election year for the Federal Reserve to bail out foreign big institutions and not take care of the little guy in the United States of America. Those things aren't trading at par. If they were trading at par, when I walked down to my bank on the corner and I said, I want my money, they'd be able to hand it to me. They can't, Kelly. So this is just a masquerade load of nonsense. If they have to backstop these things with new money, and you're seeing risk on assets, you're seeing scarce assets actually be big winners here. So you could call it inflation because the CPI is a load of nonsense, right? Like the government's going to tell me how the dollar is inflating based on a basket of like my Netflix subscription or my Caesar salad doesn't actually tell me how well the dollar is doing or how much it's being devalued. Miami real estate does. Bitcoin does. Bitcoin's up over 50% this year.
Yeah.
You're telling me that the dollar's not inflating? You're out of your mind. I'm not listening to that. The Fed and the whole monetary system is based on trust, and they constantly break that trust. It'd be the equivalent of there's a fire outside of my house. I smell the smoke, and someone's telling me, no, it's just a bunch of teenagers putting on a bonfire. Okay, but I hear one siren. I hear one police siren.
Yeah.
Are you sure it's a bonfire? Yeah, it's a bonfire. Now I hear 10 sirens, 100 sirens. Now my whole community is running out. I'm not going to get up and look outside the window, Kelly, and see what's going on. I don't believe them for a second. You've got to be absolutely crazy to believe the Federal Reserve right now. They're full of it, and I don't have to because I own Bitcoin. There's no one that could deflate my instrument. I get to hold it, save in it. I know the monetary policy. I sleep like a baby, like the baby face that I am.
Jack?
I think you're crazy if you believe the Fed and these swap lines and treating these assets at par. It's a gimmick. It's a scam.
We appreciate your time today. Jack Mallers.
Oh my God. Whoo, I love that kid. Preach, 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 preach. And my silver and gold stackers, you know all what he's saying is true. Now, I know you don't believe in Bitcoin, but everything he's saying is true. This is why I love being a precious metal stacker and a Bitcoin stacker, because we all say the same thing. We know it's a scam. He said it best. You heard them stupid ass reporters. You heard they said, "Oh, what did we do?" And she's like, "Well, it's not that bad. Inflation." They are paid. They are bought and paid for. They're just puppets. You know what I mean? It's just crazy. This is why I don't watch the lamestream media. This is why we turn off the lamestream media. Watching a lamestream media and having a real person on there, it's almost like watching a television show and then a person from real life coming in onto the television show and saying, "Hey, this is just a TV show. You guys know all this stuff is fake, right?" That's what the equivalent was of seeing Jack Mallers on CNBC. Anyways, guys, I absolutely loved it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys learned something. Again, guys, we're here to fight for our freedom. I will not. My friends and family will not. You will not, and your friends and family will not be slaves to the system. Period. End of story. Get off of zero when it comes to Bitcoin. My Bitcoin stackers, get you some precious metals. We are all in this together, ladies and gentlemen. Get educated. Go over to Bitcoin University's channel. Subscribe to him and just deep dive and learn everything you can about Bitcoin. And do me a favor. If you don't like Bitcoins, I got a lot of people saying, "Oh, I went to the store and I was about to buy some, but I just couldn't do it, man. I couldn't buy some." Or, "Oh, gold's got 6,000 years and this, that, and the third, and I just can't buy Bitcoin." Do me a favor, okay? All you guys are saying this to me. Do me a favor. Look up Bitcoin and don't listen to precious metals people. Listen to Bitcoin University, anybody that's involved with Bitcoin. Read the white paper of Bitcoin, look it up, and do your own research. And then you come back to me and tell me why it doesn't work. Besides the fact that it's a pyramid scheme, it's too young, this, that, and the third. Tell me why the network won't work and things like that. I guarantee you can't find it because I tried. I used to be a full-time precious metal stacker. I was tired of hearing about Bitcoin. Then I said, you know what is all this about? Let me go check it out. And I just could not believe. I was so mad. Again, guys, this is going to be the new paradigm shift. Bitcoin will be the standard. It just has to be. It's a finite item that it's going to be like a black hole. It's going to suck up all the liquidity, and you will buy Bitcoin. It's all about what price you'll buy, and we all deserve a price. I was going to buy it at $3,000, and I didn't do it. But there's more ahead of us, better prices ahead of us than it is now.
I just think that Bitcoin's accretion of value is going to operate very differently to anything that we've seen before, because for the first time in history, we've got an exponential technology built into a money. Looking at the potential risks with Bitcoin relative to all other assets, if people understood just how risky shares, properties and bonds were right now, the price of Bitcoin would be multi-millions of dollars per Bitcoin. All the upside that people think they've missed out on and not going to get, there's more upside left in front of us than behind us. And when people understand that, they'll just buy Bitcoin and they'll avoid all the pain and misery of chasing altcoins, degenerate trading and gambling. And they can get on with effectively improving their life by just buying Bitcoin and being patient.
It's not too late. We're still early. We're not even at 1% adoption rate, guys. So get what you can, get off zero, and please, 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 please don't listen to people that don't understand Bitcoin. You know what I mean? It's just like fire insurance. Get some Bitcoin. I'm not telling you to sell anything to get it. Get $1 here, $2 there, $3 there. Get it. Get you a cold storage, play around with it, and see what it's all about. Okay? We're not talking about the shit coins and nothing like that. I'm screaming at the top of the mountain because I know for a fact that you guys are smart and you guys know what time it is and you guys know that we got to fight for our freedom and get rid of this tyranny in this country. All right, guys, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Again, guys, I really appreciate your support. If you can, Cashapp, Zelle, Bitcoin, whatever you can. I really, really appreciate it. $1 here, 50 cents here, just like the Bitcoin, you know what I mean? Because I want to do this stuff full time, and I don't want to be a silver ambassador, a freedom fighter, and I want to be a Bitcoin evangelist, and we're going to do it together, and we're going to get it done. And we got to do this, guys. We got to fight together, all right? So let me know what you guys think. Please, guys, in the comment section below. Do me a favor, guys. If you like this video, hit the like button, only if you like it. If you guys like my channel and my videos, go ahead and share it. Guys, am I sharing stuff with you? Sharing the whole country here, all right? Sharing my love and my passion for this great nation. We're God-fearing people, ladies and gentlemen. Again, we won't fall for it. The CBDCs, that's not happening with us. If I'm going to do a digital money, it's going to be this right here, the freedom money and Bitcoin, all right? So since I'm sharing all this stuff with you, at least you can do is share my videos because you already know sharing is caring. You guys also know I love you very much. You guys are my boys. Guys, I'm slamming my hands on the table, all right? Let's get together. Let's fight together. Let's stand together. Let's do it, all right? God bless you and yours. God bless your family. I'll talk to you soon. God bless this country, guys. God bless this country. Thank you so much for watching. I love each and every one of you, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace and love, guys.